Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is PANINDYA of ASHARI, and today I'm going to talk about the cultural studies. So yeah, as you heard about the title that I mentioned about, we are going to understanding what is cultural studies, and I'm going to divide this into four stages, four main stages. The first stages we are going to talk about the introduction of the studies itself, and then the second one we are focusing on the four central goals or of cultural studies. The third stages we are here having like five major branches of the cultural studies, and the last one we have conclusion part. So I hope you're ready to listen to my explanation because I'm gonna I'm gonna invite you to actually listen to me, and I hope you do paying attention to me because I think it's an interesting topic to discuss about this, especially if you really into understanding cultural, okay? So we are basically here to not only appreciating the literary but also understanding the cultural itself, okay? So we are moving into the first stages. We have this introduction. We're gonna talk about the definitions and the origins of the cultural studies. We have this definition. So cultural studies itself is not a singular, tightly defined discipline, but rather a cluster of practices, issues, or questions that examine how cultural and social forces united or divide people. That's the definition of the cultural studies. And while we're gonna talk about the theoretical roots, it is emerging from the social upheavals of the 19 and 16s. Yeah, it was so long ago. It draws upon a wide array of theoretical traditions, including Marxism, I'm pretty sure you've heard about it before, feminism, psychoanalysis like Lacanian, postmodernism, and theories of power and scores like, for example, the one that Michael Foucault have. Yeah, that's it about the theoretical roots. Now, now that you know about the definition and the origins of the cultural studies, we are moving to the second stages, which is the four central goals of the cultural studies. We have the first goal is transdisciplinary focus. It transcends traditional disciplinary boundaries to examine everyday cultural practices, such as soap operas, tattoos, prison architecture, and Hollywood films, rather than just canonical high arts. The second one of the central goals is the politically engaged practice. You know, Cultural critics. Cultural critics reject neutrality, taking an oppositional stance to expose inequalities and examine how culture practice relate to the wider relations of power. The third one is we talk about the deconstructing high versus low culture. It is challenges the traditional distinction between elite high culture like symphonies, classic art, and how low pop culture. Concerts, comic books, and daily life habits are analyzed as equally valid cultural texts. And the last one of four central goals is that analyzing the means of production. You know, strongly influenced by it is strongly influenced by Marxist theory. It investigates the material condition behind the art. It also asks who funds the artist, who publishes the text, And who owns the media? Literature doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is shaped by economics and industry. Now we are moving to the third stages, which is talking about the five major branches of cultural studies. We have this British cultural materialism, New Historicism, American multiculturalism, postmodernism and popular culture, and the last one, postcolonial studies. I know it's a lot, but I'm gonna talk about it slowly so that you can understand better about it, okay? So, we talk about this British cultural materialism. It is deeply rooted in British working class culture. This branch focuses on how ideology and homogeny subtle cultural dominance function to maintain political power structures, while the new historicism based on the premise that texts are historical and history is textual. Critics read canonical literature alongside non-literary documents from the same period, medical journal, diaries, legal trials, to trace culture power negotiations. For the example, we have this Susan Bruce reads the flying island of Laputa in Gulliver's Travels alongside a real 1727 medical scandal involving a woman who claimed to give birth to rabbits. And it's like, sounds weird, but that's the real one. Okay, so we have this American multiculturalism. It investigates texts by marginalized groups who have been treated as the other in American history. It centers on identity politics and race, broadly divided into the first one we have African American writers. It is exploring accidents, oral traditions, and the trauma of slavery. It happens a lot back then, the slavery things. And then the second one we have Latino writers. They're analyzing borderlands, identity, and linguistic hybridity, such as Spanish and English. We have the third one with like American Indian literature. It's emphasizing oral storytelling traditions as tools for survival. While the last one we have these Asian American writers. It's challenging Orientalist stereotypes and addressing cultural orientation, alien, alienation. Okay, okay. This is gonna be the fourth of what is it? Of five major branches. So the fourth is postmodernism and popular culture. So the postmodern itself, it celebrates fragmentation, irony, and dissolution of fixed meanings within the media ages, while the popular culture decodes how identity is constructed and consumed through mass media, advertisement, and television. The last one, we have post-colonial studies. It examines third world cultures following the retreat of European colonial empires. It analyzes how former colonizers continue to impact identity, language, and politics, utilizing concepts like Homi, Baba, hybridity, and Edward Said's Orientalism. Well, so this is the last one. We are jump into the conclusion part. So cultural studies fundamentally shifts how we read texts. A literal text or cultural artifact is no longer judged simply as good or bad. Instantly, it is deconstructed to uncover who holds power, who is marginalized, and how ideological messages are circulated within society. Thank you.